Let's take a Miami Dolphins deep dive into some draft prospects. What is happening, Dolphins fans, and welcome to another episode of the Fins Tailgate. I am your host, El Capitan, and tonight on the tailgate parties, today, whenever this episode drops, we are going to talk about some of the names that the Dolphins have confirmed. Well, we fans have confirmed that they've met with at the Combine. Not all of them, not every single one, but we are going to look at some of the offensive prospects that the Dolphins have met with that could be potential ads in this upcoming draft. Ooh, even some guys that may slip into the undrafted category that might be a little gem pickup for us. So I have quite a few names here. We're going to stick to the offensive side, and we're going to look at some of the good stuff and go into a little deep dive who these guys are and, some of their stats, something for you guys to chomp on while we're waiting for the draft. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button and subscribing on the episode. Also, get into the comment section. Tell me what you guys think. What do you think of these players? Is there someone I left off the list that you guys think should have been on the list that the Dolphins have met with? These aren't all the names I think the Dolphins are considering, but I know that these are the guys that they have met with during the Combine, in the weeks to come, scheduled visits, yada, yada, yada. So hit the like button and let's get it going. So the first name I have here on the list is the running back out of Pittsburgh. They met with him at the Combine. Israel, I'm butchering his name. It's like Abenanka. Abenankada.
What is a badunkadunk?
I'm terrible, guys. I'm sorry. I know I had the name loaded up, but I knew even though I listened to it 50 times and watched all his film, I was still going to just train wreck this name. The guy is 5'11", 215 pounds. Last year, he had 239 rushing attempts for a total 1,431 yards, averaging 6 yards a carry. Also, 20 touchdowns in the rushing game. 20 last year. He also had 19 receptions for 300 yards and 2 tutties on that. So a little overview on the guy per NFL Network. A zone scheme runner, which is important for us Dolphins fans now that we have Mike McDaniel here, with early down size. Israel can be a bit inconsistent with his reads and tempo early in the run. However, he has a plant and go agility and is able to snap off cuts at tight angles and elude short area traffic when needed. He's a terrific top end speed to gash a poorly fitted run front, but he needs to run with better discipline and downhill decisiveness to stay ahead of the NFL speed. Israel isn't much of a third down option, but he does have size and talent to compete for the RB2 or 3 slot early and a chance to move up in the depth chart in time. A list of some of this man's strengths is he ran for more than 100 yards in 9 of 11 games last season with 20 rushing touchdowns. Lateral jump cuts and elude backfield pressure. One cut talent with feet and tight breaks. Locates lane opportunities on the backside. Impressive escapability in tight quarters. Access to instant acceleration when it is needed. He's a former sprinter with breakaway speed in the open field. So these are the type of qualities you want in a running back. Some of the weaknesses, though. Change of direction is more segmented than fluid. Runs when hurried tempo, bypass timing, and block development. Fails to press the line of scrimmage deeply to manipulate linebacker flaws. Urgent, but not overly creative early in the run. Can be a little inconsistent as a run finisher despite his size. He has trouble keeping rusher in front of him on pass protection. That is something that will not be tolerated. But it's not like the kid doesn't have all the talent to be coached up with a good run game coordinating, and especially with some leaders in the room right now with Raheem Mostert and Wilson that are definitely on the team for this guy to, be a weapon as far as in the earlier downs. The next guy we have on the list is Jaleel McLaughlin, halfback out of Youngstown. He was in the Halua Bowl. He's 5'8", 187 pounds. Last year, he rushed for 227 attempts, gaining himself 1,588 yards. He got 13 touchdowns last year, averaging 7 yards a carry. He did receive 12 passes for 141 or 146 yards and 1 touchdown. So some of his strengths are he keeps his legs underneath his frame, limiting risk of major injury and allowing him to chain together multiple cuts. Generally patient at the line, waiting for his blocks to set up before exploding through the holes.
That's what she said. Or he said.
Easy accelerator, reaches top gear in an instant, which is definitely his. I want to say his comps were Panchenko, if I recall correctly, which is definitely the type of scat back I think we would like around here. Needs a little bit more work in the run or in the passing game. Has near elite speed to vanish past defenders in the box and eliminate pursuit angles downfield. That is the type of weapon that Mike McDaniel likes in this type of offense. Always a threat to bounce any run outside. If contain is broken, a chunk gain is nearly guaranteed. Smaller stature allows him to hide between blockers before finding daylight and get skinny between linemen in situations most backs wouldn't be able to. Has the make you miss movement ability in tight areas as well as one-on-one situations in space. Despite the perception of being a perimeter-only rusher, he has nearly identical numbers and carries between tackles, which is 267, as he does to the outside of tackles, which is 271 while he was at Young State. He has vision to produce inside and outside zone and gap power schemes. Strong hands as a receiver with untapped potential to be a mismatch nightmare out of the backfield. So really untapped potential in those hands. So that's the kind of guy I think the Dolphins could snag way low in the draft coming up. Next guy, the areas for improvement that he needs will likely never be a 3-down back due to his lack of size. Will struggle to pick up blitzes against linebackers. Has to lay his entire weight into chips against edge rushers, massively delaying his ability to get into a route. Won't break many arm tackles from larger defenders. Can get stuck in congestion between the tackles. Won't be able to push the pile. Occasionally bounces outside too early, running into trouble. Brief in speed and overall talent leads to trying to do too much at times, resulting in less yardage than simply lowering his pads and charging forward for churning for the yards. Will sometimes get tunnel vision in between tackles, not noticing an opening cutback on the outside lanes. Sounds like a lot of stuff that can be coached out of the kid. But I like his speed. I watched his tape, and this kid's he's got some moves, and he's definitely got some good potential on that end. Next guy we're going to look at is Northwestern running back Evan Hull. Evan Hull, the Dolphins, I believe they met with him at the pro day. He's 5'11", 210 pounds. Last year, he had 221 rushing attempts, averaged 4.1 yards per carry, got only 5 touchdowns, but got 913 yards. But he's a little bit of a dual threat, this one. He had 55 receptions, totaling 546 yards and 2 touchdowns. That gives him a grand total of just over 1,400 yards with 7 touchdowns. His overview is compact, muscular runner with below average explosiveness, but decent downhill power. Hull's lack of suddenness and quick-footedness is quickly to get in and out of cuts, allowing defenders to track him down. He needs to play with much more downhill movement as possible, so he will need a quality offensive line in front of him to succeed. He's a very capable route runner and pass catcher, but needs to improve in pass protection for considering him as a third down option. Hull might need the perfect team fit to stick around the roster long term. His strengths are listed: compact runner with muscular build, posted 55 catches, as I said, with 546 yards, takes on contact with balance and strength, runs the ball north and south with energy once he gets to hit the gas, able to line up and run sharp routes from the slot, clearly catches cleanly, and able to break tackles after the grab. A little bit of his weaknesses are he's got tight hips, preventing tight turns as a runner, below average foot agility to escape tight quarters, unable to get free to speed after lateral cuts, and running style is a little bit predictable, and doesn't really protect the pocket enough with urgency or technique. A couple things: a guy that's 5'11", 210, I'm sure they can say, hey man, you need to square your hips with your block and get your hands up underneath inside of him. Gross. And set him up if you're playing pass pro. But his ability to run routes cleanly and catch the ball the way he does and make guys pay in the second level, it's why the Dolphins probably ended up having him talk to him a little bit. Next name isn't going to surprise a lot of people in the Dolphins community. I personally think the Dolphins are targeting a tight end with the second pick that they have, and 51st overall pick. Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa. This kid is good. 6'4", 249 pounds. He had 58 receptions for 657 yards and only 1 touchdown. But I think this guy is going to be one of those names that you remember later down the line as far as tight ends go. Highly targeted tight end whose playing style and physical abilities land somewhere between a connected inline or wing and move tight end. Laporta has the ability to threaten zone coverages and will make basic catches. However, he lacks the desired elusiveness and ball skills to come away with more challenged catches. Laporta takes on run blocking chores with consistent precisioning, but he has the potential to improve with a little bit more work in that phase of the game. His catch production is splashy, but he appears to have an average starter potential at the next level. Strengths: he has high volume target and from various alignments, so the guy's been all over the field. Altered tempo to improve separation potential, creates leverage for breaking routes. Footwork and feel to handle more complex route work. Tough to tackle once he gathers some momentum, which is something we've seen. Some of these tight ends we've had around here, a guy that's kind of gone up north as of recent. I think any guy that was, 5'9" and 180 pounds could take down the last tight end we let walk. Attaches into inline blockers with inside hands, does a decent job staying after his block. Tough to tackle. I already said that one. His weaknesses are inconsistent angles and accuracy as a blocker in space. Takes the worst of it as a lead blocker. Has trouble getting to square contact on the move. Needs to work back better to meet the quarterback for the throw. Below average catch success when challenged. Allows defenders angles to contest the throw. Needs to get hands catch ready more quickly. Couple of small things. I think Embry, the tight ends coach, and with the Dolphins, who's been known to make these guys tight ends a lot better, has a lot to mold with this young guy if he decides to bring him in. Another tight end on the list, Tucker Kraft, tight end out of South Dakota State. Listen to this kid. 6'5", 255 pounds. He caught only 27 passes last year for 3 touchdowns, amassing 349 yards. Combination tight end with a projectable skill set to handle pass catching and run blocking duties at the next level. Currently, he's more of an effective blocker in space than in line, but that is correctable with better hand usage and proper angles to entry into his base blocks. Kraft provides formational versatility that will be appealing for teams to make heavy use of 12-man personnel with 2 tight ends. He has the body control to catch toughness and catch toughness. What the hell? To be more than just a traditional wide tight end, Kraft has a day two talent that should be seen on the field early with a chance to become tight end number one. His strengths: thick frame with plus athleticism, faster than he looks in open space with his stride, dexterity to rescue throws behind him, meaning you get a little bit of dexterity to him. Absurd contact and maintains focus through the catch, transitions quickly from catch to run on short stop routes, puts in the effort to sustain a drop and drive a block, easy adjustments in space to collect move blocks, expects to put extra yardage in the books after the catch. That means this boy is looking to put the hurt in. That's the whole point of a good pass catching tight end, is to have that big body mismatch where there's some of these smaller DBs have to just take the brunt from. That's kind of the whole point. And then you get some of these big dudes that can shake and bake a little bit. And next thing you know, he's making someone look like an idiot out there and he's running away. And now a linebacker or a friggin' safety's got to come across the field and bring his big ass down. Weaknesses: rolls into the top of routes, average speed to threaten the seam, needs to get through NFL routes better and with a better pace. Tall pads, narrow base, wide hands as a run blocker. There's a source that tells that came out through NFL on this from a regional NFC scout, said that I like him. I think he's tough and plays like a big tight end in space and not just like a finesse wide receiver. Okay, another guy that the Dolphins had met with, Anthony Bradford, offensive tackle, LSU. Don't get all hyped up, but fans are clamoring for some answers at the right tackle position. I don't know if this guy's it, but there's definitely somebody the Dolphins met with, so we'll put his name through the ringer. Massive scheme-specific guard prospect. So this guy is not going to be a tackle. With plus power, but obvious athletic limitations. Bradford has functional quickness as a pulling guard and can work from one block to the next with adequate timing. He can be effective as a single blocker, but really shines on double teams where he can clear pathways. His lack of lateral quickness and reactive athleticism can put him in a bind against one gap defensive tackles and sub package rushers. With short area twitch, Bradford has the potential to become an eventual starter for a gap and power team's strengths. Gritty and extremely wide in gaps, size and strength are made for double teaming blocking. Plows run lanes open as an angle blocker. On-field deposition can be this stupid souring against opponents. Powerful hands can jar and clinch up defenders. Snap twists across the gap with force. Stands in the ground against power rushers. Weaknesses: he lacks range, foot quickness, and athleticism to protect. That's why this guy's projected more in the guard spot. Slow to move in and out of cuts, inside moves, or from cuts, inside moves. Some inconsistency staying centered on run blocks. That's not good. Likely scheme dependent in run games. Source tell us I like his size. A source in the AFC said, offensive line coach, I like his size and power pro day fitness guards who can move but don't have any pop to them. So the next guy the Dolphins met with on the offensive side is John Michael Schmitz, center out of Minnesota. Met with him at the combine. Buddy is 6'3", 301 pounds. His strength: he is very athletic, very good athlete ability, and a well-built, compact frame. Quick feet and excellent explosiveness at the snap. Light on his feet, lateral bursts allows him to cover a lot of ground. Oily hips, which, man, if you're talking about a guy on the line and you're saying oily hips, that's something good. Allow him to redirect and redistribute his weight when necessary. Tight, quick, and effective ability to initiate contact. He is good. He is a solid technically sound blocker with a punch and an ability to frame a variety of blocks. feet, hands, and eyes all work in unison, allows him to maximize his power with excellent timing. Sturdy at the point of attack, consistently churns his feet through contact. Elite reach block ability, can cut off the angle on the 3 technique in outside zone. Oof, man, this boy sounds good every time I read this. Does well to scoop block and position himself well. Accurate and active hands that carry solid weight behind their punch. Precision footwork as a blocker. Excellent combo blocker. Some of his weaknesses are he's more dynamic as a run blocker than a pass protector, but still good in pass protection. Only has the experience at center, not really a knock, but, you know, for the Dolphins, if they brought him in as a true center prospect and we kicked Williams back out at guard, or at least just had him and gave him work at guard and kept Williams where he's at as the backup option, I'm not going to hate it. With a full head of steam, he can get over his toes in space and not exercise body control when accustomed to seeing a bit. So he will, you know, kind of swing and miss. We've seen plenty of that. He looks for work as a pass blocker. His pad level rises and allows defenders to get underneath his armpit at times. So when he sits up, because he's a little shorter, he's kind of looking around and he's able to get up off his feet. And another knock, which I don't really find this as a knock for us, he's going to be a 24-year-old rookie coming out because he's a 6-year senior. I'm not sweating that so much because I'm not looking to develop or looking to, you know, figure a guy down the line. I'm looking for guys who can come in here and compete and bring something to this team as soon as possible. So that's something I personally, as a Dolphins fan, am looking for. But yeah, guys, that's it for this episode. Make sure you guys are hitting the like button, get into the comment section, share the video, join the membership, and, you know, we'll see you guys next time for the defensive one. FinMily.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?